The moment my father slammed his hand on the dinner table, I knew my life would never be the same. He looked straight at me and said, "Cancel your wedding. Your sister needs the venue more than you do." I stayed silent. No tears, no argument. My younger sister smiled as if she had already won. They believed I would sacrifice my happiness like I always had. But they didn't know one important truth. The luxurious life they enjoyed wasn't built by them. It was quietly supported by me. As I stood up and walked away, they laughed. They had no idea that, within the next 72 hours, everything they owned would begin to disappear. My name is Emma Carter. For years, I worked hard to build a successful investment company while keeping my private life simple. I never cared about showing off money or expensive things, but my family saw me differently. Whenever my father or my younger sister needed help, they came straight to me. Bills, debts, failed business ideas, I paid for all of them without asking for anything in return. I believed that's what family was supposed to do. Little by little, they stopped appreciating my kindness. Instead, they started expecting it. I had no idea that the people I loved the most would soon ask me to give up the happiest day of my life. My younger sister Lily loved expensive clothes, luxury parties, and showing a perfect life online. But behind every photo was a secret. Most of her lifestyle was paid for by someone else, me. Whenever she got into debt, my father would call and ask me to save her again. He always said, "Family comes first," so I kept helping. I thought one day they would finally appreciate everything I had done. Instead, they treated my success like it belonged to them. Then, just 6 weeks before my wedding, Lily made one selfish decision that changed all of our lives forever. 6 weeks before my wedding, Lily announced she was hosting a huge fashion launch party. The problem was that every luxury venue in the city was already booked. Instead of changing her plans, she decided she wanted mine. The next evening, my father asked me to meet them at a restaurant. As soon as I sat down, he looked at me and said, "Cancel your wedding and give your venue to Lily." I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. Lily smiled confidently and said, "Your wedding can wait. My future can't." In that moment, I realized they never saw my dreams as important. I looked at my father, hoping he would stop this. Instead, he said, "Lily's future matters more than one wedding day." Then, he gave me a choice. Cancel your wedding, or don't expect this family to stand beside you. The words echoed in my mind. A whole year of planning, every dream, every promise. They wanted me to throw it all away. I took a deep breath and looked at both of them. Then I quietly said, "No." The smile on Lily's face disappeared. My father stood up in anger, and what happened next changed everything forever. My father slammed his fist onto the table. "How dare you say no to your own family?" he shouted. The entire restaurant went silent. Lily crossed her arms and stared at me with anger. For years, I had always given them what they wanted. This time was different. I picked up my bag and calmly walked toward the door. Behind me, my father yelled, "If you leave, don't ever come back." I stopped for just a second. Without turning around, I replied, "Then this is goodbye." The next morning, I walked into my office, ready to make the most important decision of my life. The next morning, I called my lawyer. "Start the paperwork," I said. "Remove every financial guarantee connected to my father and Lily." He paused for a moment. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely," I replied. For years, I had secretly protected their lifestyle. The house, the business, even their reputation. But that ended today. By noon, every legal document had been submitted. My family still believed I would apologize. They had no idea that the countdown had already begun. And by Monday morning, their perfect life would never be the same again. Monday morning arrived. My father was enjoying his coffee when several official vehicles stopped outside the house. An officer walked to the door and handed him a legal notice. "You must leave the property immediately." At the same time, Lily rushed to her fashion store, but the doors were locked. Her business accounts had been frozen, and the bank had suspended her credit. She stood there in complete shock. Within a few hours, the luxury life they had always shown the world was falling apart, and for the first time, they realized someone had quietly pulled the foundation out from beneath them. That afternoon, my phone started ringing nonstop. It was my father. When I answered, his voice was shaking. "Emma, please, We've lost everything. The house is gone. Lily's business is closed. You have to help us." I stayed calm. "I didn't take anything from you," I said. "I simply stopped supporting a life that was never mine to carry." There was complete silence. For the first time, he had no answer. I ended the call, blocked every number, and focused on the only future that truly mattered. 3 weeks later, my wedding day finally arrived. 3 weeks later, I walked down the aisle with a smile I had never felt before. The garden was filled with flowers, laughter, and people who truly cared about us. There was no drama, no guilt, no one demanding another sacrifice. As I looked at my husband, I realized something. Real family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by love, respect, and support. That day, I didn't just start a new marriage. I started a new life. Sometimes the strongest revenge isn't hurting the people who wronged you. It's choosing peace, protecting your future, and never allowing anyone to control your happiness again.